Plateau attacks continue despite government-imposed curfew. Ondo State Governor sacks Executive Council with immediate effect. Federal government on course to sell 5 power plants for $1 billion. Last on the foreign scene, a Russian military plane crashes with all passengers on board killed near Ukraine border. Hello and welcome to the news updates on Trust TV. My name is Martia Umar. Welcome. Now the news in detail. Killings and burnings of houses continue in Mangu town of Mangu local government area of Plateau State despite a 24-hour curfew imposed by the governor Caleb Mutwang in the area. And according to residents, this has continued, and about 9 a.m. this morning, gunmen invaded the community, shooting sporadically into the air at everyone they encountered and setting ablaze houses, including the Sunnah Islamia primary and secondary schools located along Gendiri Road. The spokesperson of the Operation Safe Haven, maintaining peace in the area, Captain Oya James, is yet to respond to the situation. And now we're being joined via telephone by our correspondent in Plateau State, Ado Musa. Ado Musa, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you, Madia.
Thank you very much for joining. So, what do we know about the reasons for the escalation of the violence in Mangu at the moment?
Well, according to the residents of the communities, that the attacks came just because there were no enough security personnel on ground to tackle any unforeseen circumstances. Since morning, they have been complaining that there have been attempts to burn houses, and that was why around 9:30 a.m. and what they were thinking of coming, it has come to reality. So, according to them, the reason for the attack is just because there are no sufficient security personnel who could tackle some of the threats they were experiencing before the attack.
Okay, so I understand that there's some sort of security concern around that area. Tell us about the role of security forces in that area and what they're doing to curb this insecurity bedeviling Mangu town at the moment. Okay, we lost him there, but we'll get in touch with our correspondent there, Ado Musa, in just when we are able to get him to talk to us more about the incident in Mangu local government area of Plateau State. And now moving on to other stories, a retired principal in Kaduna, Malam Abdulkadir, who was abducted by hoodlums in Bernungwari local government area of Kaduna State, has been freed by his abductors. The retired principal was abducted while delivering ransom to secure the release of some villagers in the area. Senator Shehu Sani, the former federal lawmaker representing Kaduna Central, confirmed his release on his official social media handle on a Tuesday. And according to Senator Sani, Malam Abdulkadir was beaten and lost a tooth due to delay in payment of the said ransom. Mataza local government area of Katsina State have alleged the vigilantes are dispossessing them of their animals, urging the Katsina State government to initiate their relocation to another part of Nigeria. The Fulani herders, who allege that vigilantes constantly attack their communities on mere suspicion, an allegation chairman of Mataza local government area dismissed. Abdullahi Yamadi tells us more about the situation.
These Fulani herdsmen accused the vigilante group of Matazo local government of dispossessing them of their animals and handed over same to some military officers in Matazu, and many of their animals could not be retrieved from them. The herdsmen said when they contacted the military personnel deployed to Matazu local government, they were told to check for their animals in Katsina, as they have been handed over to the higher authority. On reaching Katsina, they were made to pay about 600,000 naira to take back the few animals they could find. We are in a very critical condition. Now, if any Fulani herdsman wants to relocate to another place with his animals, securities and vigilantes would not allow him. They would say he's a bandit. If you stay, they confiscate and kill you. Look, we sneaked out of our area to be here in Katsina, and we were harassed and intimidated along the road, even when we were accompanied by our ward head. We really don't know what to do and where to go. We have been dispossessed of our entire means of livelihood. We are not spared by bandits. The constituted authorities are labeling us as collaborators to bandits. And all we are saying, let there be justice. Investigate us. If we are guilty, then prosecute us accordingly. But don't treat us as enemies. However, Chairman of Matazu Local Council Shamsuddin Muhammad Sayaya, while reacting to the allegations, said the claims are baseless and unfounded, calling on all well-meaning citizens of the area to support government's efforts and commitment of fighting bandits and their collaborators.
In a security operation like this, I believe those in the possession of those animals were not happy with the reprisals, with the actions of the security personnel, because in one way or the other they collaborate with those bandits. They either give them shelter or they conspire with them in one way or the other. So they will say as much as they can to tarnish the image of the whole exercise.
This is not the first time herdsmen will raise alarm over excesses of vigilantes, including the proscribed Ensakei and some security operatives in the state. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
The governor of Ondo State, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, has dissolved the state's executive councils. And the governor also relieved all senior special assistants and special assistants of their duties. In a statement by his chief press secretary, Ebenezer Adenio, on Wednesday, the governor said that the development will take immediate effect. The statement said all members of the cabinet to immediately hand over to the permanent secretaries or the most senior administrative officers. Aiyedatiwa was on December 27, 2023, sworn in as the substantive governor of the state following the death of Governor Rotimi Akeredolu. The former governor of Anambra State, Willie Obiano, has arrived at the Abuja division of the Federal High Court. He arrived in the company of the officials of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The 68-year-old was arraigned before Justice Ian Eko of the Federal High Court, Abuja. And Obiano pleaded not guilty for the money laundering charge leveled against him. A counsel for the EFCC, Sylvanus Tahir, asked that he be remanded in the custody of the anti-graft agency. Obiano is currently on administrative bail granted him by the EFCC, which includes providing two sureties who are directors in the civil service own land properties in Abuja. Justice Eko adopted the administrative bill and added that Obiano remains within Federal Capital Territory and travel documents be submitted to the court going forward. The court also stated that the immigration be allotted that all travel documents are with the court. And the federal government, through the Bureau of Public Enterprises, is currently carrying out transactions for the sale of 5 power plants under the National Integrated Power Project at the cost of about 1.1 billion naira. It was gathered on Tuesday. Although reports say that the cost of the plans should exceed $5 billion based on international benchmark, they revealed that the BPE was planning to sell the facilities at a price that is a little above $1.1 billion. The acting Director General, BPE Ignatius Ayewo, confirmed that the transaction is ongoing and it is not concluded yet. The 5 power plants to be sold include the 434 megawatt gas-fired Geregu 2 power plant located in Kogi, 451 megawatt Omotosho 2 power plant in Ondo, and 750 megawatt Oloroshogo 2 power plant in Ogun State, among others. And this is the news on Trust Television. Coming up shortly. Epileptic power supply makes residents cry out. More news when we return from the short break. Stay with us. You're welcome back. If you're just joining, this is the news update on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our headlines again. We told you that Ondo State Governor sacks Executive Council with immediate effect. And the federal government on course to sell 5 power plants for $1 billion. And moving to more news, a medical doctor at the Federal Teaching Hospital, Lokoja, has revealed how a group of men stormed the hospital on Tuesday over the death of a patient and attacked workers. Sharing videos on his X handle, the doctor explained that the men, who were led by an unnamed political leader, demanded to see the doctors on duty on arrival at the hospital. In one of the videos, about 3 people were seen struggling with a gun as shots were also heard. In his caption, the doctor wrote, "My team was called to A&E to review a new patient. A group of men in kaftan broke through the gate and started demanding for the doctors on duty." He further said on his X page that apparently he lost a patient and they came for the doctors. One of them, I learned, is a political leader.
This camera, this is what? Are you videoing? Don't videoing. Just cut that video. Cut that video. What are you taking this on video? You work here? Yes. Please, if you video it, don't let them see you. Video it and keep the video. Let's get it on video. Bro, on video.
Sight and scene from the hospital in Lokoja there. And moving on, as the power distribution crisis continues to rock states like Benue, most consumers have been complaining of paying far above what they consume due to estimated billing. Although the introduction of the prepaid meter was made to check complaints arising from the issue of estimated billing by distribution companies. However, the inability to meter all consumers has continued to raise questions among customers. Jimmy Azande has more on this report.
Across the length and breadth of Makurdi, residents tell tales of insufficient power distribution in some areas, the breakdown of transformers and other power infrastructure in other areas. Despite this, one thing is consistent: the distribution of estimated billing on a monthly basis to customers, irrespective of the power consumed.
I don't think the government is doing the citizen a favor. They should provide prepaid meters to each and every consumer so that those people consuming will know that yes, they are consuming or they are paying for what they are consuming instead of estimating.
The government is not being sincere with the people of Benue State, especially with people who are not consumers. The company itself is not being prepared to give people a better light, because to me, I see the prepaid meter is better to use than the non-prepaid meter.
They urge the federal government to implement compulsory metering of houses and improve the power infrastructure in the country to address some of the anomalies. This, they say, will enhance effective utilization and reduce complaints arising from electricity supply.
Where houses are being metered, it controls the rate of electricity a lot, and they can also make their money. Where it's not metered, I think much time will be given to to the energy what do they call it, Discord, what do they call it, that they should be able to meter all the houses. I can tell you that in my house I receive a lot of bills, 40, 30, and so on, which I don't consume that amount of energy. That is ridiculous.
The Jos Electricity Distribution Company highlights some of the challenges faced by the company in metering customers.
Part of the challenges is customer education, illiteracy. People does not know the importance of these meters. So they always look for shortcuts. And the major challenges we have is people trying to cut corners. Issue of bypass. You see where customer on their own will want to get these meters destroyed so that they can have free energy and now they can involve themselves in energy theft.
Makurdi residents say the government should execute policies that will enhance smooth power distribution and consumption by Nigerians. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
The United States is committed to strengthening genuine partnerships in Africa, especially Nigeria, where it believes is essential because of its status as Africa's largest economy and democracy. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken disclosed this to journalists at State House Abuja, who covered his meeting with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Tuesday evening. Blinken said his discussion with the Nigerian president centered around a range of common priorities, including accelerating economic growth and opportunity in Nigeria. Kendi Amodu report.
A host of other topics of discussion revolve around climate action and permanent representation in the UN Security Council, as well as other international organizations that need to reflect the realities of the day. The US is also collaborating to support the development and use of artificial intelligence for good with 30 other African countries, and blue economic development, environmental protection science, and technology exchange through a new partnership for learning cooperation.
There remain some impediments that we hear from our own business community that I think stand in the way of maximizing those opportunities. One is the repatriation of capital. This is important. I know the central bank governor is working on that. And second is the ongoing effort to combat corruption, because companies that come in and invest want to make sure that they're going to be investing with a fair and level playing field. And corruption, of course, is a big impediment to that. Having said all of that, look, I do think we're seeing real movement.
Speaking on the situation in Niger, the U.S. Secretary General says the change of leadership in the West African country had worsened the security situation in the region due to exploitation of people and resources by Russian conglomerate Wagner and spiraling rates of violence and extremism. However, he pledged the support of the U.S. to Nigeria and the Lake Chad region partners to strengthen the capacity of their security forces in a variety of ways.
And it goes to having a comprehensive approach that genuinely focuses on citizen security, working with local communities in partnership, demonstrating that security forces are there first and foremost to protect them and to support their needs. By the way, that was an approach that was delivering results in Niger when President Bazoum was in office before he was deposed in a coup. And in every place where there's been an unconstitutional change in leadership, as I said, things have only gotten worse.
Anthony Blinken also touched on the situation in Gaza, clearly stating his country's opposition to displacement of people in the area. In the long run, Nigeria and the US are agreed on principles which include the two-state solution, the importance of maintaining effective territorial integrity, and Palestinian government.
Permanent arrangements that go to the governance of Gaza, the security of Gaza, the redevelopment of Gaza. I think that's one question, but we've been very clear about opposing any permanent change to Gaza's territory configuration.
It's not surprising that Nigeria, of course, has been from the get-go very expressive with regards to the issue of proportionality of violence. the Israeli approach, in Gaza. We've expressed concerns.
Basically, the visit of the U.S. Secretary of State centered around establishing assurances that it is on the same page with the Nigerian government and renewing pledges of cooperation in areas of economic growth, counter-terrorism, and other forms of support. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
Now on the international scene, a Russian military transport plane on Wednesday crashed, killing all passengers in Russia's Belgorod region. Russia's defense ministry said 65 prisoners of war and 6 crew members and 3 other people were on board the plane. Local governor Vyacheslav Gladkov, who confirmed the incident, said he was going to inspect the site. Belgorod region, which borders Ukraine, has come under frequent attacks from Ukraine in recent months, including a December missile strike which killed 25 people. Donald Trump is one step closer to an election rematch against United States Democratic President Joe Biden as the former president secured a decisive victory in New Hampshire's first in-the-nation primary on Tuesday. Within minutes of the state's polling station's closing, U.S. media announced Trump had beaten his Republican rival, Nikki Haley, by a substantial margin, dealing a powerful blow to her campaign. The final results have not yet been announced, but projections showed Trump with a double-digit lead with about half of the votes counted. The ex-president's resounding victory follows a similarly strong showing in the Iowa caucuses last week, cementing the lead in the race for the Republican presidential nomination ahead of the November's general election. No presidential candidate has ever won the first 2 contests on the presidential race calendar, as Trump has now done and not emerged as their party's nominee. Video duration about 28 minutes, 28 seconds, in New Hampshire has been framed as Haley's last best chance to make a dent in Trump's runaway lead. But despite her loss, the former United Nations envoy said in a speech on Tuesday night that she plans to continue her campaign. And in sport, the Ghana's Football Association late Tuesday sacked Chris Hutton as head coach of the senior national team with immediate effect. The Executive Council has also taken a decision to dissolve the technical team of the Black Stars. The FS said in a statement that the Ghana Football Association will in the coming days provide a roadmap on the future direction of the Black Stars. Hutton was sacked following Black Stars' woeful performance and eventful exit from the ongoing African Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. And India's Rohan Bopanna will become the oldest tennis world #1, aged 43, after he and Matthew Ebden reached the Australian Open doubles semi-finals. Bopanna and Australian Ebden beat Argentine pair Maximo Gonzalez and Andres Molteni 6-4, 7-6. It is the first time Bopanna has reached the top of the world rankings. Bopanna and Ebden will face Thomas Mukak and Zhang Zhengzhen in the last 4 in Melbourne. And with that, we have come to the end of the news update at this hour. For more, follow us across all our social media platforms for more documentaries and programming. I am Martia Umar. Thank you for watching.